Wild West Diversity, where we tell the rarely and untold stories of multicultural contributions to the settling of the American Wild West. Each Thursday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, we'll be sharing a historical legend and a living legend. Someone from history and someone living that Western lifestyle today, keeping it alive for the future generation. We hope you'll join us on Thursday. If not, we'll see you on the trail. Hello, this is your host, Liz Lawless for Wild West Diversity, and this is episode 55. And today we're going to be talking about calf roping, going to be talking with a longtime friend, Keelron Hatley, and about his rodeo experiences, as well as some horse racing and the family business. They've got a lot of family legacy going on here in Dallas, Texas, outside of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, down in DeSoto. And so thanks so much for joining us. Before we start, I'm going to do a shameless plug. You know, we have our new book about Cleo Hearn. This is our Cleo Hearn, Mr. Black Rodeo, our children's book that just came out this week. And you can find that over at Amazon, or you can contact us through wildwestdiversity@gmail.com, and we'll get you a copy. So, but this is it. Today we're going to be talking rodeo too. We're coming into the rodeo season, and we had some of the stock shows been going on in the spring. That always happens, and then the summer is really the big time for rodeo. So, Keelron Hatley, come on in here and let's talk about how you got in all this rodeo business. Welcome to the show.
Hello, how y'all doing?
We're doing great. We're doing great. Yourself?
Yes, ma'am. I'm doing real good.
Good, good. Well, tell our listeners, our watchers, we've got people watching and listening. So occasionally I'm going to like spell your name, and that's because we've got people listening on the podcast and they're not seeing what's running across the bottom of the screen. So if I do that, don't worry about it.
No problem.
But I do want to ask you about your name, because is this a family name, or because I know or is this just something that this was your name and then you're just carrying on the legacy?
You say no, I made it up, huh?
Okay.
No, I was just joking there. No, my sister actually named me. You know, I'm the youngest of 10.
Okay.
So
Okay.
most of them could have been my mother and father, my sister and brother. So
right, they were older. Yeah.
Yeah, my older sister Cassandra named me that name, and she told me it means without any boundaries. So
oh, that was great. That was great. Perfect. That was perfect too, wasn't it?
yeah, it was.
Perfect for you too. Well, that's fabulous. Well, I love that. And then you just carried it on with your daughters?
Yeah, and boys.
Okay. Good. Oh, and the boys too. Okay, good, good. Well, tell us a little bit about how you got into this, the rodeo business, the cowboy, the Western lifestyle, because you kind of came by it honestly, didn't you?
Right. I mean, like I said, my older brothers and they were my dad and brothers. They were all cowboys before I was born.
Yeah, born. Yeah, yeah.
Right. So, but I would probably say Charles, we call him Tut. He rodeo a little more than probably the rest of them. So I kind of leached on to him and just kept on rodeo for a long while. He and I were the only ones still rodeoing. And
right.
He finally quit. So it kind of left me still here doing it. So
by yourself, yeah.
Right. So that's the reason I won't quit doing it, because, you know, the legacy. I'm just trying to, because when everybody goes to the rodeo, they expect to see somebody from our family performing, you know. And
right.
I'm like,
right. Yeah, because they're used to seeing y'all there.
Right.
For sure. Yeah.
Right. So you know, it's just been amazing thing to do, and I mean, it's such a great sport and hobby to keep you out of trouble, keep you well grounded and well rounded.
Yeah.
You know, teaching boys to actually take care of. I think that's one of that's something that's missing in this country today, that especially young men, and young African American men, they don't get a chance to take care of livestock and animals, and that teaches you to take care of your family. You know, when you have to get up, rain,
Right, every day. You gotta get them every day because
right, right.
you can't skip a couple of days because
No,
sleep in because
no,
you feel bad when you got horses and when
no,
you got
no.
animals or cattle. You gotta get
Exactly,
out and check on them and feed them
exactly.
and water them. Yeah.
Right. So you're gonna take care of this. You're gonna already have that inside of you to take care of your family, no matter what. When things get tough, when you're
Yeah.
up against the trouble, you're gonna see it through. You know. So
Yeah,
that's
you're gonna figure it out. You're gonna
right.
figure a way through or around or over or under. Yeah,
Right.
for sure. So that's right. That's right. Well, I think it is. I think that discipline and that opportunity to be around horses, is there's nothing better than that,
No.
And horses are like people too, they have good days and bad days and personalities, don't they?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so, did you start out calf roping or did you start out doing something else first? Because a lot of times we talk to people and maybe they did bull riding and they said, "Oh no, I need to do, I need to do something besides get on these bulls, or these barebacks and stuff." But how did you start?
Start out calf roping.
Mhm.
That was pretty much the only event that I mean, besides amateur riding little steers and
Little
calves.
steers, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I remember we used to have ropings and things around the house, and me and Wendell Hearn and Royce Gilder, we would after they roped the calves, we would have like a little contest. We would ride them, a little bit.
Right, right. I love it, I love it. Yeah, so that is the way. Like you say, we talk a lot about on this show, about you can start with little britches, you can go into high school rodeo, you can do college rodeo, then you go into amateur rodeos, and then there are professional rodeos, and like
Right,
Cowboys of Color is like an amateur rodeo that hopefully we're preparing kids and men and women to go on to that next professional level because as you know, with your family, when you go into arena, maybe at other rodeos, you may be the only one or two or three
right,
African Americans competing,
absolutely, absolutely,
and so we want kids to see, people and hear your stories and people like you with their stories because they may say, I want to do that,
right,
and how do I do that? And we got to keep connecting, like you say, those kids, especially those kids that grow up in the city that don't
right,
have
and
any idea about what is involved in taking care of an animal or a whole ranch or horses or cattle or any of that kind of stuff. So
right, right, and it's funny that you said that, and I'm not trying to interrupt you. I just want
yeah,
to
no, go
piggyback
ahead.
before I forget about it. But the inner city kids, for instance, we're getting a program at South Oak Cliff High School, better known as SOC, um,
Uh-huh.
uh, the agriculture program that which has never been, and and,
Uh-huh.
and so we're trying to get the inner city and the African American kids to learn about the ag system because
Right.
it's so much money, so many scholarships given away, and so much money allocated that
That
our
just sits there. Yeah, that nobody gets it because they don't know it's available, and we don't have kids to give the money to. Yeah,
right.
you're absolutely right.
So we
Well,
supposed to
that's
be getting that next year up at
next
South
year.
School. Yeah, and it's big, and we look very excited about it, and can't wait to get that program started here. So
Yeah, for sure. And anything we can do to help, and also, obviously urban farming's becoming a big thing,
right,
and our buddy Cord Poitier, they've got their farm out there in Lancaster that's just growing and growing. And he just became the president of USDA for Black farmers, for
oh
Black
yeah,
agricultural. So we need to talk with him too. But yeah, anything we can do to support that program and be there or show up or whatever, we're certainly happy to do that because there aren't, in the smaller schools, in the suburb or some of these smaller communities across Texas, especially in Oklahoma, they still have some of these clubs, but in the
right.
city, they
No,
don't have them. So
right,
that's really fabulous. I'm so glad to hear that. That's excellent. So Charles Hearn is here, or Flores Hearn. He's the great grandson coming
right,
on, and so he's he's a fan. Half the fans at the Dallas Rodeo were there to see Keelron.
right.
I love it. I love it.
I
Well,
appreciate it.
that's it. So what's your favorite thing about rodeoing? Is it just the competition, or is it being around the horses, or just being out and riding and in the fresh, and breathing the air? And what is it for you that keeps you in it, staying in
Well,
it?
I mean, you know, it's almost like I was just bred into it. When we were coming up,
Yeah.
a lot of the boys, they was at the park playing football, they was playing basketball. Well, we was at the barn, all right,
Right.
feeding the horses, right. And I remember this story, and it's real funny. We was I think I was in the seventh, eighth grade at Zumwalt, which is now called Todd, Frederick Todd,
Right.
right in Oak Cliff. And
Uh-huh.
a girl, her first name is Tamika. She said, the teacher said, I smell a funny smell, y'all. And the girl said, I smell some sneaky. He's around them horses, so that was real funny, at that particular time, and to hear her say that, 'cause she lived down the street, so she knew that we had horses, but
Yeah.
uh, but I guess going to that competition is so intensified to be able to be on this beast, this
Uh-huh.
1,200-pound animal,
Yeah.
and so many things is going on that you're trying to do in 7, 8 seconds. You're trying to rope this calf that's moving, things are moving 30, 40 miles an hour with
Yeah.
a big loop that gets a little loop that draws tight, get down, get off, and time up in a matter of like seconds. That's almost unbelievable,
Yeah.
to do that. So
Right. It is. Yeah. You've got to really be skilled. You got to really practice. I'm sure you practiced. I mean,
right,
you don't become a champion without practicing and going out there every day or going out there every weekend or whatever, And so it is important. And it does, like you say, it builds that muscle memory, that hand-eye coordination. That's why you guys can stay in rope. I mean, Cleo's 84. He
exactly.
quit he quit roping when he was 79, and people go, "What?"
Right,
I mean,
right,
he was still going to senior rodeos and roping at Cowboys of Color when he was 79. He only gave it up then because he had a little bone in the back of his neck,
right,
it separated, and they said, "You can't do that.
right.
You
That's
can't
the
do
only
this
thing that's
anymore."
stopping though. Right.
Yeah, or he'd still be doing it. And he's, like you say, it's a great legacy, and it's all about family. I mean, that's the thing I've always loved about it, and I'm sure you too. When you went to the rodeo, you didn't have to worry about the kids, did you?
No, you just take them in the rodeo and they go and everybody watching. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like old school. If they showed how it was being managed, one of the Cowboys or somebody whooped them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's nothing like it is today,
Yeah.
which is again just has gotten away completely from the ground roots and the rearage of coming up. So
Right, right. And
mm,
well, and that's why we've got to, we've got to re-talk about this Western history and this legacy, and the cowboy way of life, because
right,
it was about respect, and it was about doing your job or doing a good job. The animals, bulls and horses don't care what color you are.
no,
People out on the ranch or on the trail, they don't care what color you are. You're just trying to get down the road, or you're trying to get to a place, or you're trying to get the animals all to go in one direction.
right, right.
And so it does break down those barriers in sport, obviously, in culture, and telling our stories just really helps, and it's a shame, like you say, that those stories weren't told,
Right.
or enough of the stories weren't told,
Exactly.
as you and I know. And
Right.
so we appreciate that y'all have that legacy. I know you go out and talk to schools. I know you talk to kids. I know you probably have kids over at your ranch, your place
Right.
all the time, wanting to be around the horses and wanting to know and learn. And so how many you got? You got $3 and how many boys?
2 boys and 2 girls.
Two boys and two girls. Okay. Okay.
Whole lot of grandkids. Just had one born 3, 4 days ago.
3 or 4 days ago. Great. So we got the great grandkids coming on. That's good. So we got somebody to practice on her.
Yeah, I got one grandson he's left-handed, and boy, he reminds me of Taylor. I'm trying to get Taylor Hearn. He plays baseball and he ropes too.
Yeah.
And I remember Taylor as a little boy walking around there with picking strings and ropes in his hand, and
Yeah. And he's funny because he ropes, I think, right-handed, but he pitches left-handed. Is that right? Do I understand that correctly? So he's a little bit ambidextrous, and that takes, like you say, there's so much going on. It doesn't matter what event you're in. It doesn't matter if it's rough stock or if it's steer wrestling, like Bill Pickett,
right,
or if it's calf roping, like you say. The horse is moving, the calf is moving, the rope is moving, the cowboy's moving. I mean, it really is an athletic thing as well as as a thing of beauty to watch when it's all working out, and
exactly.
when you're on and you're out. And it was so funny. I don't know. I guess probably when Cleo was about 60, I said, well, can you still outdo the boys? And he said, well, I can't get off the horse as fast, but I can still out-tie them.
Probably because it's sitting down,
Right. And he said that hand motion, he did it so often. He did it so often. And it was so funny, Paul Allen and them live across right next door, kind of in their pastures back up.
Right.
He said him and his wife be sitting out having coffee in the morning at 6, 7 o'clock, and Cleo be out there roping. They'd go sit down at dinner at night, and he'd be out there roping. Like every day, he was out there religiously,
right.
because it's what he loved, and so.
That's what he loved.
So it's really fun. Well, tell us a little bit. So you got, did your brother roped with you too, didn't he?
Well,
and then the uncles and
all of my brothers roped.
All the brothers roped. Okay. Yeah.
But Charles, we call Tut, he kind of roped the longest, and I think
roped the longest. And y'all kind of traveled up and down the road together because I remember him, from being at the rodeos and stuff.
Yeah, he did a lot of horse training. He was so he loved that. And I had two more brothers that roped, and my oldest brother, but I had two brothers that roped that were on the fire department. Check this out. So the fire department and police department used to have a rodeo.
Yeah. I remember.
So it was like in the late 80s. I remember we went and we won them back to back to back. And they quit having it. I still got the buckle from it. So that was we cracked the egg in the zone. So they stopped having the road. They stopped
having it because y'all were winning because the brothers were winning. Yeah. It's true. I mean, and Harlan would say it. He's kind of been doing the acceptance award speeches, for his dad here this last year because Cleo fell and broke his hip. But he's doing okay. He's getting around. He's still got a sense of humor. Right. But he said, when the 4 or 5 of them got out of the truck, everybody's looking at him like, who are these guys? And what are y'all doing here? And I know y'all probably got a lot of that. And you probably your older brothers especially got a lot of it. Maybe you not as much. And Harlan said, it was those guys that came before, your dad and your brothers and and Cleo and Rufus Green, Rufus Senior, and all those guys. And so up at Okmulgee and other places, and you saw black cowboys maybe in Oklahoma because we had black towns, but in Texas there are a lot of places still. And when, like you say, if you come from Florida or the East Coast or the West Coast, it's it's an interesting thing. But everybody loves cowboys. It doesn't matter who I talk to across the world. Is it the same for you? Every time you talk to somebody, it doesn't matter where they're from.
Right. It's just a different. It's automatically almost like, oh, they're a good person. You know what I mean? Just you're proving him differently, but you don't have a bad vibe or anything about him. So.
Right. You never get a bad vibe when you see a cowboy and when you think that. And like you say, it doesn't matter if you're from the UK or from, from Europe or France or Germany and, Saudi Arabia, Africa. I mean, we've had people from all over the world come, and they're just all fascinated. In Asia, China and Japan, they're just fascinated with this Western lifestyle and the cowboys and cowgirls. So it's really fun to have that. So tell us a little bit about, y'all are in the business too. So you've got a family-owned business, and y'all all kind of working there. And so it's roofing and construction. Is that right?
Yes. That's what we do. We do roofing and construction. That means from the inside to the outside, from the ground up to turn down, we do it. And we've been doing it since the late 80s. Daddy started us with doing it. And we just kind of incorporated that into, being entrepreneurs. It gave us a little more leeway to deal with horses because because in the animals and stuff like that. So from
Yeah.
from what he instilled in us, that legacy, and just passed on to
Mhm.
if somebody else can do it, you can do it. And he didn't
Right.
believe that.
There wasn't anything you couldn't do if you put your mind to it.
I've
Yeah.
never heard that in my life. Like, I've never heard that growing up in my life, that you can't do it.
Right.
But,
Right. Wasn't part of your vocabulary.
no, no. And dealing with just, there's so many great people, like you say. I'm big on the past, because the past, if it wasn't for the past, you couldn't have gotten where you were today. The
Right.
people, the trailblazers, Cleo Hearn, the things that he's done in the community, and with the Cowboys and the rodeo, keeping the Cowboy of Color, keeping it something for us to do.
Right.
And my daddy, just dealing with that, with the rodeo and with the race horses, being the first black race horses in Texas, quarter horses,
Mhm.
and the Bill Pickett's, and just people all before that. And then you've created great champions, like
Yeah, Charlie Sampson, Fred Whitfield. I mean, all those guys, Corey Solomon, those kids coming up, the Mayfield boy, the Mayfield family coming up now. Their dad was a great calf roper, I believe, with your brother and your dad and your and Cleo.
Bud Ford,
Right.
just people like that. It's just amazing to see what they had with nothing. You understand what I'm saying?
Right, right. They were out there, like you say, going up and down the road. And
Right.
Cleo didn't have horses. He
No.
had people that let him ride his horses, and until he got good enough and made enough money, and like you say, got to working and stuff and full time, because it's not an inexpensive sport.
Oh, no.
I think that's another reason that we don't have more minorities of cross culture, minorities that don't participate, because you know what? You probably spent 100,000. You ain't even got out of the driveway.
Exactly. And like you say, it's one of the sports that you truly need somebody, your parents or somebody, have to have money, because it's
Yeah.
not a lot. You don't get a lot of payback when you win, but you put
Right.
everything in. So it's
Yeah.
not, again, you got to have some money behind you to do it on a high level, and do it very successful. Yeah.
Right, to do it on a high level, because
Right.
like you say, you got a truck, a trailer, you got the horses, you got equipment, you got medicine,
Yeah.
you got clothing, you gotta buy boots and hats and ropes, and,
All that.
it just goes on and on and on. So you really gotta love it, and you really, like you say, you gotta be committed to it, and,
Right.
but if you are, you can find a way.
If you find, yeah, if you
And
are,
there are people that'll help you too.
that's it.
That's the other thing that I so much loved about the rodeo business, because there was always somebody that was willing to help you, whatever,
Yeah, you get a helping hand from somewhere. Right.
Right. And it's not, you're really not competing with the cowboy, you're competing with the animal.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to win and you want the time to be right, but if somebody broke down on the road and you drove by, you're not going to stop. You're going to stop, pick them up. You're not going to
Yeah.
just drive on by them and say, "Hey, Wendell, sorry, buddy, see you at the next rodeo." I
Right.
mean,
You down the road. Right.
it's not like that.
No.
It's like some of these other sports where it is like that, where
Right.
it's the rivalry is so acrimonious, I guess the word, and
Right.
you don't have that with cowboys. I mean,
No.
they're just not like that. You want everybody to do well, and you don't want anybody to get hurt. And you just it's a great sport, and it's an athletic sport. And
Right.
same thing about animals. We'd have people call us and call in on the radio or whatever and want to know. And Cleo would say, "Let me explain this to you. This is a $10,000 investment. I'm not going to mistreat a $10,000 investment."
Absolutely.
And I bet if you went down and asked that calf whether he wanted to go home with me at the end of the night, or if he wanted to be a steak on your table,
That's what he'll say.
well, what's he gonna do? What's
That's
he
what
gonna
I tell
say?
them too. That's what I tell them too.
I
Yeah.
mean, so it's but they're so little. I know they're not really that little. When you get up next to them, you're looking at them from this bird's eye view, up in a big arena, and you're looking down at them, thinking they're these little bitty things, and they're not that little.
Not at all. Not at,
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about the racing. My brother is a thoroughbred racehorse owner too. He ran out at Lone Star since the 20s and 30s, and his very first horse was named after his daughter Leslie, and and so Leslie's Last Dance or Leslie something, and she won at the fairgrounds, on Friday and died on Sunday.
Yeah.
She caught some kind of virus or some kind of whatever, but he was in it for 20 years, 30 years, and off and on. And at one point we had 20 horses, and
Right.
and then we had five, or then we'd have two, and but that's a great sport too, and it's a magical kind of thing to watch them run, isn't it? Especially because they love to run. I
Right.
mean, if you get one that's what they do.
They love to run. That's the first and foremost thing they're gonna do is run. When they hit the ground and sit down walking, they can run. They run. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So Charles is saying even bronc riding costs you something, even though you don't have
Right.
to.
Right.
You got to enter, and that's why these guys got to get the sponsorships. And he just got a couple of sponsors, so he's all excited for sure. But he said, it's a hard thing sometimes, and we appreciate because you've been a sponsor. It's like you say, having a business gave you the opportunity to help support things that maybe somebody that was in a regular job wouldn't be able to do so much. So are y'all racing right now? So y'all race quarter horses, right? So
We race quarter horses, and
okay,
I guess the kind of way I started off, I guess in the 60s, before I was even born, my dad was the first African American to race horses in Texas. So I grew up just right under that and loving those race horses to death.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so we stopped racing for a long, long time. And we started back here in 2020.
uh-huh.
We had a horse that actually went viral all over the world. His name was Black Lives Matter. And
I love it. Yeah, that's great.
so we caused so much controversy about that, and that was unbelievable. He won, and it went all around the world. It was shown everywhere. Everybody posted it, shared it, and talked about it.
Mhm. Yeah,
And we and last year we took him to have a procedure, and we're in a murder case with him now because they took took his life.
right. They took his life because they did something
Right. It's because of his name.
yeah, they didn't do something right. Yeah,
Right. So
yeah,
so we're dealing with that now, but we it wasn't it hasn't stopped us, and it was not
right.
going to stop us. So we got a couple
Yeah,
more coats that we're racing that
uh-huh.
next month in Oklahoma at Remington Park.
At Remington Park, yeah, sure, sure. Okay, good, good. That's great. Well, that's great because quarter horses, for those of you that watch and don't know, quarter horses run kind of in the spring and the fall, and then the thoroughbreds run in the summer, basically for the
Right.
most part. I mean, they may have some other races, but at the big parks like Lone Star Park here, and like you say, Remington Park and Oaklawn up in Arkansas. Those are some of the big races and things. And it was, I mean, like you say, as Keelron mentioned, there weren't a lot of black, trainers. There were some riders and there were some guys trained in the early years, but in these middle years, it was difficult to get any traction. And so, but we're so glad that y'all are there and that y'all are continuing that legacy. And maybe one of the kids will come along and want to
Right.
take that over and do that, for sure too. And so that's a lot of fun and interesting. Well, what would you tell somebody that's kind of starting out, or they really want to do this, and what do they need to become a champion or to be successful in the rodeo stuff
Well,
or business even,
anything, Liz. I mean, really, this day and time, being athletic, when you talk about sports, athletic doesn't really mean much anymore because people just work and train so hard all year round. So
Mhm.
so that's kind of where uh, where it is now. But so I
Mhm.
would probably just go back to saying hard work, discipline, and just dedication
Right.
is is the key source here, and that's just having a heart, like a will to not stop and a will to not be told that you can't do anything or you're not going to be able to,
Right.
and because it's a dog eat world, man. I mean,
Right, really outside outside the parameters of the family and the rodeo in our communities, we all have these communities that we belong to, and maybe it's church or it's family or it's rodeo or it's whatever we do. Might be motorcycle racing or car racing, whatever.
Right.
People have gardening, whatever. People have hobbies, but and so we do. But like you say, if we can be respectful of those things, we can, be committed. We can show up, and like you say, not be discouraged when something goes wrong.
No, and
Because it's always going to. I mean, it's always going to be up and down.
every day. And I'm so glad that I come from. I was born in we was born and reared right in Oak Cliff,
Yeah.
and it's so much success come out of Oak Cliff. It's unbelievable. People have thought and said, "Oh, you better not come here. You better." No, like that's where I like to go from the heart,
Right.
and get things. And so I don't think
Yeah.
it's a better place I could have grew up in,
Right.
and that's why I really thrive so much for the community and area, and we give back so much. But you can be whatever you want to be, and no matter where you are, where you come from,
Yeah.
of course, there's going to be more obstacles that you have to face, but at the end of every storm, it's a rainbow. You just
Right. Yeah. You just got to hang in long
yeah,
enough. Just got to dance in the rain.
there you go. There
Got
you
to
go.
dance in the rain, and then the clouds clear off, and and things
That's
go
right.
well, and so that is true. So, well, I appreciate you being here, Keelron. I'm going to spell your name because, like you say, some people are listening, and so it's Ke apostrophe capital Elronn, Keelron Hatley, Hatley. It's Hatley Bros at HatleyBros.com. So is it, or is it Hatley Brothers?
No,
Hatley
happy
Bros,
bros. Yes, ma'am.
Hatley Bros at HatleyBros.com. So HatleyBros at HatleyBros.com. So you can follow him there. You can probably follow him on what, Instagram or
Yeah.
Facebook.
And
You can
just
search him out.
type in Hallett's and we're gonna show up, somewhere. So
Yeah, that's great. And so, and if you need roofing or construction, and you're in the Dallas Fort Worth area, anywhere kind of in the North Texas area, I'd bet, and call these guys up. They're going to come do a good job for you, and they're going to do an honest job. They're going to do it right, and you're going to be pleased with the opportunity to work with them. So, one last thing you want to share with our audience today? We only have 30 minutes. It goes so fast. I'm like, we could keep talking for another couple of hours. But
right. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you guys for having me on the show, and I love to be a part of it, and I love to do it again. And I want to thank the Hearn family and just all of the cowboys and cowgirls that has paved the way and is still here today fighting for equality and fighting for justice, and
yeah,
just giving us a shot. And we have a ranch here in Lancaster, and we love to have especially inner city cowboys
kids.
and girls to come be a part and learn. And this agriculture program that we're doing at South Oak Cliff, we would love for anybody to call and push that program, because it's hard trying to make it go through, but we're gonna get
Right.
it. We're gonna get
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So we will. We call our what do we need to call the school board and the
Yes,
city council? The school
yes,
board mostly, I guess, for sure. And then yeah.
right.
So I grew up, went to school at Samuel. My
You
dad
did?
was
Okay.
yeah. My dad was the varsity baseball coach and the JV football coach, and he was the only Dallas coach to win a state championship,
Really?
1965. They won
Dang.
14-0. They beat them 14-0. They beat Brownsville, and I think they beat Alvin out there where Nolan Ryan grew up
Right,
in
right.
the semifinals. And
Yeah,
so,
I didn't even know that. I mean, my boys play baseball for South Oak Cliff, and
right,
I
yeah.
had
So,
no idea that happened. So you just enlightened me on some good history, and I want to search into. Is he still living?
no, he passed away. He's been gone about 20 years, but there's about 7 or 8 of his guys that played on the team, and
Really?
we're writing a book about their story. And so, yeah, so there's 7 or 8 of these guys still living, and they do, like you say, various things around the metroplex here, and a couple of them have moved off, but there's still about 5 or 6 of them that still live here, and they get together. about a couple of times, once every other month or something, with their class of, it was 1965. So it was, but we knew all the baseball coaches because
Right.
because
Right.
that played and my brother played, and then and so we played against South Oak Cliff.
Yeah.
so
I bet.
so that's fun. Well, I appreciate you being on so much, Keelron. This is we've been talking calf roping today, and if you're interested, reach out to us. You can reach out to us here at Wild West Diversity. We can put you in touch with people that can help you learn to ride horses. We got people that have ranches, that have places. Keelron them, they got a place. They have kids out. They do fundraisers and have opportunities for people to come out and see what's going on. So we hope that you'll go and watch this on our YouTube channel, that you'll go and subscribe, and that you'll share this this YouTube with somebody else, and that you'll follow us on social media so that we can keep telling these stories and keep telling this history. So thanks so much, Keelron, for being with us. And we will have you back on, and we'll talk more about maybe when we get to that racing, when you got one of those race horses ready to go, we'll come back and take them on. And then we got our man, Charles Hearn. He's our man on the ranch, and he kind of goes out and does some features. So, if y'all are doing a roping or y'all doing something out of place, he can come out and, and we'll
definitely reach, because we're having a big Kentucky Derby party right before the week we go race. So I'll definitely reach out to him.
Yeah, reach out to us, and that way we can cover that. We can come out and take some pictures, or we can come out and video live, and put it on. That'd be great.
That'll work, Liz. Thank you so much, guys.
All right. Thank you. So this has been Liz Lawless, your host for Wild West Diversity. We're here every Thursday at 5 p.m. And if we don't see you here, we'll see you on the trail, or we'll see you at the rodeo. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Bye-bye. Hello, this is Liz Lawless, your host for Wild West Diversity, where we tell the rarely and untold stories of multicultural contributions to the settling of the American Wild West. Each Thursday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, we'll be sharing a historical legend and a living legend. Someone from history and someone living that Western lifestyle today, keeping it alive for the future generation. We hope you'll join us on Thursday. If not, we'll see you on the trail.